Hello, everyone. We are having another conversation, and this time our conversation is with Shawnna. So, Shawnna, how are you today?
Raising to a higher octave every single day and week and month and year. And I think, as you've said in the past, I think we are not focused on new Earth. It's now Earth.
Yes, right. That's what I got in one of the messages that I got from the Arcturians that will be posted either before or after this. We'll see, because there is no time, right? We're in the now. And that's what differentiates fifth dimensional Earth from 3D Earth, because 3D Earth would be time Earth, and 5D Earth would be now Earth.
That's right. And so we're already in that frequency where we are living in a completely new reality. And I get excited when I think about the potentials. And I'm so grateful that the information that you bring forth is there to assist us in expanding our consciousness, helping us to release negative thought forms, and so many other amazing things. And connecting with your higher self and actually manifesting that being here in this conversation also, and any of our conversations that we have with other people. So I thank you for everything that you shared, and it's been exciting to be a student in the multidimensional leadership school as well, because that's really teaching us how to live in the now and be in the now and shift moment to moment and focus on what needs to be focused on. Today is different than tomorrow. Next week is different than last week. And just like the conversation we had earlier today, we don't even know what tomorrow holds. We have
No,
plans.
no,
We have plans, but they change.
yes.
And that's okay.
Right, everything is changing really fast. And I wanted to say what you said about the multidimensional leaders. I really want to emphasize the leaders, because we are moving into an entirely different reality. Things are going to be very different. Now, it's not going to happen all at once, I don't think, mostly because there's a lot of resistance. And also because Gaia is a planet. And this really isn't about what's happening with our personal lives as much as it is with what is happening with our planetary lives. Because we're all multidimensional beings. We can return to higher dimensional expressions of ourselves whenever we want to. Now, we have chosen to come here within this lifetime, this particular era specifically, so that we can assist the planet. Now, from what I've heard, the animal kingdom is ready, the plant kingdom is ready, the elemental kingdom is ready. The humans are the ones who are holding back the show. And you can see on YouTube, there are so many shows about, I saw one the other day about a lion, a female lion, mothering a baby water buffalo. And then I saw one the other day where this little kind of rodent thing was riding on the top of a bird, and the bird was flying the little rodent to a new place. So why can't humans be smarter than animals? That's what I want to know.
They are definitely great role models, aren't they?
They are wonderful role models. They are teaching us what we forgot. Now we're going to bring in the Arcturians, and Shawnna will be asking the Arcturians some questions. So we will begin at this now. Shawnna, are you ready?
Thank you. We've discussed the importance of these times and how we all need to focus on raising our consciousness and expanding our perceptions. How can we best contribute to this transformation that's at hand? We've heard that this lifetime is the culmination of all other lifetimes in the past. So, how does it compare to previous cycles of expansion? Why is this one different? And tell us the magnitude of this occurrence that's happening.
Let's address first what you can do to help. And what you can do to help is to help yourself, love yourself, forgive yourself, accept yourself. Remember that you can only put out what you have stored within yourself. So if you're going to put out a higher frequency, then you need to make sure that you meditate and that you create your life in a manner that you can gradually begin to accelerate your baseline state of consciousness. And then as that becomes more incorporated into your daily life, then you will be able to share that with others. If you're wanting to love others, love the planet, even unconditionally love those who are opposed to ascension, then you first need to love yourself and love your piece of the planet, wherever it is that you live, and to remember to embrace your own personal responsibility towards what is happening on a planetary level.
So basically, what is within is without.
Yes, what is within is without. Because your higher dimensional expression of self is within your core, within your Kundalini force, within your core. And Gaia's higher expression of self is within her core, within her central crystals. And it is from the core of yourself that you project out your vision, your experience of, your perceptions of a fifth dimensional planet and beyond. It gets projected out into your aura, much like your aura is the screen upon which you cast your inner self into the third dimensional matrix.
Right. So it's very important what we project.
Since it is very difficult to remain consciously projecting what we project out into the reality, it is important that each of you remember to love yourself and to take very good care of yourself. Take good care of your transmuting bodies, as they're having a lot of difficulties, and take good care of the spot of land that is your spot. Take good care of the people that you love and the society in which you live. Perhaps this would be a good time, Shawnna, for us to talk a bit about some of these symptoms of transmutation that the humans are having.
Definitely. I think there's a broad spectrum and people that are unaware of what's occurring too.
Yes, because if people are not aware that they are actually transmuting into a higher frequency, they will think they are sick, nervous, anxious, wounded. And then, since what you believe is your reality, they will actually be creating the opposite of what is truly occurring.
And that brings forth the idea that there are different frequencies of reality. So my reality could be different than someone who's struggling and does not understand the implication of what's occurring within themselves, the thoughts they project.
Absolutely.
So some people are creating manifestations that are not ideal. They're full of chaos. Now, that is a natural part of the process, yes, the chaos, the transformation, the transmutation.
Yes.
So that has to occur for the new to arrive.
Yes, chaos always precedes change. And another thing that is very important for all of our volunteers to Earth to remember is that you are completing a major cycle of incarnations for yourself and for the whole planetary beingness. Therefore, it's much like if you are moving from a house, you will have to move out everything that is in that house so that the next person can move in. Now, in this process of moving out, that coerces you to look at, do you really want this? When it was stored in your cellar for the last 20 years, it wasn't a problem. But if you have to take it down and ship it or move it or put it on the moving van, then maybe it's not worth the effort that it would take to move it. So as you are making this transmutation into these higher frequencies of yourself, and you move around into your cellar and your attic of your unconscious self, you might find some components of yourself that you have not used or even been aware of in decades. So all you do is that you take those components of yourself and say, thank you so very much for being important teachers in my life. Now I love you unconditionally. I transmute you with the violet fire, and I set you free. And then allow those old components of yourself that are no longer who you are within this nowness to go back to the source, to go back into another dimension, to move into an alternate or a parallel reality, so that when you are making this move within the now into this higher frequency of yourself, you do not have to carry along your past. You don't have to carry along that which you no longer need to be in communication with within your nowness. There might be childhood issues that you find that now you can just let go. There might be different dramas from being a teen or being younger, or even when you were a mother, or your first job, or some difficult relationships. You can just let go. You have graduated from that school, and you do not need to carry those school books with you. You can release them off into the universe as beautiful thought forms of learning, and perhaps others can learn from what you have learned.
Releasing is a very important part of the process, for sure. Even subconscious thoughts that we aren't even aware exist.
Yes, that's a very important point, because that is when you begin to work in terms of energy fields. And when you work in terms of energy fields, you do not have to get the details. You don't have to even get the thoughts. You don't have to get the emotions. You don't have to get the plot. When you work in terms of energy fields, what occurs is that an energy field will come into your aura, and you might feel, oh, what a beautiful energy field. And so you open up your heart to it. You allow it into your beingness, just knowing only that it is filled with love and hope and promise. But then you might be moving along, and suddenly this energy field that comes into your awareness, and it is filled with fear or danger or sorrow. And so what you do in that case is you say, I love you unconditionally, energy field, and I blaze the violet fire around you and release you. I let go. And so as you move through life, you are highlighting and amplifying the energy packages that are filled with love and light. And you are transmuting and releasing the energy packages that are filled with fear and sorrow and anger.
Back to the question regarding the culmination of our lifetimes. You've mentioned that as volunteers, we've returned over and over and over to learn lessons, to assist with the expansion of consciousness in humanity. Tell us how or why is this one so important, this current lifetime and these current energies and times?
Thank you. That's a very good question. The reason why this lifetime is so important is because in this lifetime there is a potential for a higher frequency of energy moving into the atmosphere of Earth, into the planet. Now, the potential doesn't mean that the energy field will come or not. The energy field is definitely coming. But the potential means that humanity has a potential to openly recognize what is occurring. And as we have said before, those who are attached to the land and attached to the planet, even the indigenous peoples, they already know because they are picking up that something is different. They aren't trying to translate it, they aren't trying to organize it or to talk about it. They just bring it into their knowingness. And as they bring it into their knowingness, their behavior begins to change. But when one is within an energy field that is fearful, then the body instantly begins to protect itself. You find yourself coiling up and pulling in, and you find yourself trying to ignore something, and maybe you don't know what that is. So we ask that instead of reacting and protecting, that you realize that you are a beautiful multi-dimensional being, and you are a galactic and celestial being who has volunteered to come into a physical embodiment during this immensely challenging now, so that you can assist with this transmutation. And once you are aware of this about yourself, when these energy fields come in, then you can instantly transmute them. Now, there is one very important component. You are carrying two states of consciousness. You are carrying the states of consciousness that are keeping your physical third-dimensional body alive. You are also carrying the states of consciousness of your multidimensional self. Your physical body is how you ground this energy field. So if your physical body becomes too exhausted, too stressed out, too wounded, too sick, then it will have a difficult time grounding this higher expression of yourself and giving this higher expression an avenue through which you can speak to the other humans of planet Earth. So your human body is much like your spaceship. This is why we have always called your human body your earth vessel. It is a vessel that you are within while you walk along the 3D matrix of physical earth.
Excellent information, and certainly helps us put this expansion into perspective, and it is a wonderful opportunity. We talk about challenges, but I think it's exciting to consider the opportunity and this gift that we're giving of this amazing energy that maybe it has not been available in the past to this extent, or maybe it has. But I think we've heard discussions about how this is not only affecting us personally, it's collective, it's planetary, but it's also the entire cosmos, the galaxy, the universe. Can you speak about the implications on that level?
Yes, we are very happy to do so. Earth has been much like a kingpin, much like in the displays you have in the grocery stores. If you pull one can out from the bottom, the whole display would fall down. Earth is much like that. Earth has decided to provide one of the final formats for this low frequency of awareness, because the entire sector is in the process of shifting into a higher frequency. And because Earth took on that brave challenge of being a polarized planet where there is dark and there is light, and there is a separation in between the two, she is lagging a bit behind all the other areas that are ready to transmute into higher frequencies. And now she is calling to her humans to assist. For as we said before, the other inhabitants of her world are ready. There is a great deal of love that can be sent into her body that will assist her so greatly to make this transition. One of the things that our dear humans will be experiencing as they move through their transition is that they will begin to regain their multidimensional consciousness. And as they begin, as you begin to regain your multidimensional consciousness, you will regain your multidimensional perceptions as well. The perceptions and the consciousness go together. If you have a low state of consciousness that is based on fear, then your perceptions are limited to a low frequency and low frequency brain waves. And so you will only see that which is around you in the physical world. However, as you move into higher states of consciousness and you move out of your mundane life beta waves and even through your alpha waves of your fourth dimensional realities, of your dream life and your imagination, and you begin to move into the delta and gamma waves of your fifth dimensional consciousness, then you perceive that other realities are around you. First, you will have this perception as a knowing that there seems to be no evidence whatsoever that is actually occurring, but for some reason, you just have this feeling. And this is because clairsentience is one of the most common of the expanded perceptions. So, Shawnna, how have you experienced this knowing within your life?
I think my experiences have certainly been amplified. I remember quite a few years back, maybe not 5 or maybe more, I'm not certain, but I do remember asking for that ability. I remember Dr. Sue had mentioned that if you want to make that connection with your higher expressions and have those abilities come online and available to you, ask for them. And I did that. So I've experienced all kinds of amazing mental connection, visualization, just different kinds of senses have been heightened, and the energy right now is it's so supportive for these things to occur. And something that's been quite helpful that we've learned in our leadership school is that if you begin your day with the intention of bringing forth your ideas, your creativity, your thought forms, your emotions through the perspective of your higher self, if you make that connection in the morning, it guides your day. You maintain a higher state of consciousness, and you live at a higher frequency by default.
Yes, and I, Sue, would like to add something about what my process of that is that I discovered quite a while ago that if I meditated in the morning before I started my day, things were much better throughout the day. Now, it took a while before I actually could consciously get my multidimensional experiences, but I began by, I think I took a whole year, and every day that I possibly could, I wrote down my dream. I wrote down my dream, and then I said, Dear One, meaning any one of a higher frequency, please come in. Dear One, please help me to interpret my dream. And then I would kind of like automatically write what my dream was about. The one thing that happened is that I developed an intimate relationship with the One. And another thing that happened is that I really learned a lot about my own symbolic language. And symbolic language is specific to each person. It's built on the sum total of the experiences that you've had within that life. All of us are getting more and more messages about where we are and who we are and what is happening. They are coming actually in packages, bundles of light language. Now, light language is not in English. In fact, light language is not in any kind of third dimensional language. Light language comes in through your higher perceptions. And so you feel it. You feel that something is happening in your body. You might begin to close your eyes and a picture will come into your mind. And like, where did that picture come from? Why did I have that picture into my mind? That was part of the light language. Or you will hear a sound. I remember the first time that I meditated, I was curled up like in a fetal position with my forehead down. And I said, I want to talk to you, I want to talk to you, I want to talk to you. And I heard Ra. Now, I had no idea what that meant. It took decades before I realized that there was this whole set of books about talking to Ra. That might be an experience for all of you as well. And so just remember it. Remember what comes in. Write it down. In fact, anytime you have any kind of a higher dimensional experience, write it, draw it, speak it, because when you have an experience in a higher state of consciousness, once you return back to your mundane life, that experience is gone. And so you need to document it so that you do not lose it. The next thing that the Arcturians were talking about, we're going to talk about, is about all these perceptions that we are having of something flying past our side of our vision or just barely coming into our hearing, or we walk into a room and say, why did I walk into this room? Where am I right now? Little moments of disorientation, loss of time, where you think it's been 5 minutes, it's been an hour. What happened? Or you do a really fun thing and it's 2 hours later. And then you sit down to pay your bills and it takes 20 minutes and it feels like it's been 4 hours. And so your state of consciousness begins to sync up with different amounts of time. So you are beginning to realize that when you're in a high state of consciousness, time does not exist anymore. Have you had that experience, Shawnna?
Mm-hmm. I can remember having even certain dreams that feel like you've just lived an entire lifetime. You know, there's, and you wake up in the morning and go, what just happened?
Yes.
And then when you meditate, you feel like it feels like eternity sometimes.
Yes.
The expansiveness is it's vast, and you don't even know how to really perceive it or explain it, but it feels infinite.
Yes. We are walking into the now. Right now, we are living in the now, more and more with each passing second. Now, the Arcturians are going to come in for a moment, and then if you have any final questions of them, and then we'll begin to bring this to a conclusion. And in case I, Sue, don't come in again and we end with the Arcturians, I want to thank you all for listening, and I'm really happy to talk to you in this way. Much easier than writing it all. It's wonderful.
Thank you, Sue.
Okay, now I'm going to bring in the Arcturians for our final little moment here. Blessings to all of you. And Shawnna, since you are acting as the voice of humanity, did you wish to ask us a final question that you think people might want to hear within this now?
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing everything that we've covered thus far. I think it's quite helpful to continue to receive this kind of guidance and support. So we thank you for that. What do you feel would be pertinent to share? What do we seem to be needing support for, or advice for just continuing this transformation and living at our highest frequencies?
Well, as we look down in frequency to perceive our beloved representatives in physical forms, we see that so many of you are so lonely, that you have received the clarion call that it is time to return to your higher self. However, how do you do it? When can you do it? How is it possible? And so therefore, that fear that maybe you can't can almost be replaced with an anger of, why do I want to know that I can if I don't know how to? And then the loneliness comes in. And we remember how Suzanne suffered deep loneliness for a very, very long time because she was aware of us, but she didn't know how she could expand her consciousness to be in a constant communication with us. We want you to know that that loneliness is not your enemy. That loneliness is your homing beam. When you are lonely, oh, I want to go home so bad, then you are actually saying, I want to go home. So instead of allowing that fear to come into your consciousness, when you say, I am lonely, I want to hear from you, I want to go home, then take a long, slow, deep breath. Go into a meditative state because you have asked for someone to communicate with you, and we will. And in fact, the one who will communicate with you will be a higher expression of your own self. And when you begin your interdimensional consciousness and your interdimensional journeys, the first beings that you will connect with will be your own higher dimensional self. And the places that you will journey to will be areas which you are now holding an embodiment on a higher frequency of reality. Also, many of you are coming to our now Earth, fifth dimensional Earth, and you are beginning to populate that with your consciousness and with your light body. So as you are going through the process of all these vast physical changes and mental changes and emotional changes, you are moving in to your own light body. And your light body is free of time. And as you have made this intimate link with your light body, you are able to easily experience more than one reality within that moment of now.
Thank you. It's been a fascinating experience, and I can't imagine exchanging it for anything else. So thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you. And blessings to all of you. Bye-bye.